The foundation goes down 47 meters. Modern building codes in Kazakhstan require 12 meters maximum for seismic stability. The geological surveys from 2019 show bedrock at 9 meters. So where do the other 38 meters go? You're standing in the main hall of Almaty railway station. The ceiling arches 30 meters overhead. No visible supports. No steel reinforcement that modern engineering requires for spans of this length. The acoustics let a whisper at one end reach the other. 200 meters away, perfectly clear. No modern concert hall achieves this without electronic assistance. The building was officially constructed in 1929. Soviet records are precise about this. Construction began March 15th, completed November 7th, 8 months. But the foundation predates any Soviet concrete formula. The material analysis comes back showing aggregate compositions that don't match anything in the geological record of the Kazakh steppe. The binding agent isn't cement. It's something denser, something that strengthens with age rather than degrading. Someone built something here, something older, something the Soviets tried to bury by building on top of it. The marble floor beneath your feet is warm, not from heating systems. Those were installed in 1954 and only run October through March. It's July. The floor is 8 degrees warmer than the air, has been for 90 years, according to maintenance records that nobody was supposed to see. Mikhail Kuznetsov spent 40 years studying this building. He's 81 now, sitting in the station cafe where he sat every morning since 1963. He was part of the original preservation team when they tried to expand the station in the 1970s. His hands are steady on his tea glass, but his eyes track every person who passes through the main hall. Watching, measuring, counting. We couldn't, he says simply. His voice carries the weight of decades. The excavation reached 18 meters, and the equipment started failing. Drills breaking on material that shouldn't be that hard. Concrete mixers seized. The surveyor got nosebleeds every time he went down there. He pulls out a leather portfolio, corners worn soft from handling. Inside are blueprints yellowed with age, stamped with Soviet seals that look official until you notice the registration numbers don't follow proper formatting. These are what they gave us. Official plans from 1929. Foundation depth, 12 meters. Standard Soviet construction methodology. He lays a second set beside them. Hand-drawn, no stamps, no official markings. The paper is older, vellum instead of standard drafting paper. These are what we found when we broke through the basement floor in 1974, sealed in copper tubes. 7 tubes, each one containing identical copies of these plans. Redundancy. Like they knew someone would try to destroy them. The hand-drawn plans show a structure descending 47 meters, not a foundation, a building going down. Multiple levels, chambers with specific dimensions that repeat in ratios. 1 to 1.618, the golden ratio, every single room. The draftsmanship is, he pauses, searching for words that won't sound insane. It's perfect. Every measurement to 1/10 of a millimeter. No modern surveying equipment achieves this precision without digital tools. And we're talking about plans that predate the Soviet Union by at least 50 years, maybe more. The hand-drawn plans show notations in Russian, but also in scripts Mikhail can't identify, mathematical equations he showed to professors at the university. They couldn't solve them, he says, not because the math is wrong, because it's using principles we don't have names for. The acoustic design, Mikhail says, tracing his finger along notations that run vertically down the margins. See these calculations? They account for the harmonic resonance of human bone. The building was designed to resonate with the people inside it, specifically with the human vocal range at frequencies between 85 and 255 Hz. He looks up. His eyes are clear, pupils dilating slightly in the cafe's warm light. We're sitting in the top floor of something much larger. This entire station, all of this, He gestures at the vaulted ceiling, the platforms, the modernist Soviet architecture, is a cap. A lid placed over something that goes down 5 times deeper than it goes up. The station above you continues its morning rhythm. Announcements echo with perfect clarity, despite no visible speaker system installed before 1985. Footsteps on marble carry further than they should. Every sound lands exactly where it needs to. You can hear a conductor's whistle from platform 7 as clearly as if you're standing beside him. Despite being 3 platforms and 80 meters away. They made us seal it back up, Mikhail says. His voice drops, and somehow you hear him more clearly, as if the building is focusing his words directly to you. The Ministry of Construction came from Moscow. 3 men in suits who weren't construction engineers. I know construction engineers. I worked with them for 40 years. These men knew architecture in a way that modern engineers don't. They could look at the plans and understand what they were seeing. He folds the blueprints carefully, each crease following old fold lines. They supervised us filling the shaft with concrete. 40 meters of concrete. It took 6 weeks, required 17 cement trucks running continuously. The concrete kept settling wrong, like it was being pulled down faster than it should fall. The silence between you holds weight. Outside, trains arrive and depart with a precision that the schedule board can barely keep up with. The building itself seems to facilitate movement, to guide it, to know where each person needs to go before they do. I kept these, he says, resting his hand on the blueprints. Made copies before we were ordered to destroy the originals. I was 32. I thought I had time to figure out who built this. I thought someone would eventually want to know. His hand shakes slightly now. Every city, Mikhail says quietly, every major city in this region has a building like this. Different functions now. Government buildings, museums, railway stations, opera houses, all of them with foundations that go too deep. All of them with acoustics that shouldn't be possible. All of them built between 1927 and 1931, according to Soviet records. All of them built on top of something older. He stands slowly, joints protesting. Walk the perimeter tonight, after the last train leaves at 11:47. You'll hear it. You'll understand what they buried. The second person who remembers works 3 blocks away. Dmitry Volkov was a railway maintenance worker for 38 years. He's 73, retired 6 years now, but he still walks to the station every evening, watches the last trains leave. Times it, writes it down in a notebook he's kept since 1986. The hum, he says. You're standing with him on platform 4 as the 11:47 to Astana pulls away, wheels singing on rails that were laid in 1929 but somehow never need replacing. You'll hear it in about 20 minutes. When the building empties, when there's nobody left to interfere with the frequency, he's not looking at you. He's watching the curve of the ceiling, the way the evening lights reflect off surfaces that look like marble but test as something denser, something with crystalline structure that marble doesn't have. I was working the night shift in 1986, July 14th. I remember because it was the day after my daughter's birthday, and I'd missed it to cover for Sergei. His voice carries the specific detail of trauma, the way people remember every element of moments that changed them. The maintenance crew was down to 4 of us for the whole station. We were replacing track ties in the lower service tunnel. He pauses as a late passenger hurries past, footsteps echoing with impossible clarity. The tunnel isn't on any official map. It's not part of the foundation plans from 1929, but it's there. Runs parallel to the main platform, 3 meters below. We found it in 1979 when a section of the main platform started settling. Just a 2-centimeter drop, but enough to notice. When we excavated to shore up the foundation, we broke through into this tunnel. The last passengers filter out. The station's ambient noise begins to fade. The ventilation, the distant traffic, the electrical hum of lighting, everything settling into night configuration. We're down there, maybe 1 in the morning when the lights start flickering. Not electrical failure. I knew electrical systems. I'd worked them for 15 years by then. This was different. The lights were pulsing, regular, 1 second on 1 second at half power, like a heartbeat, like breathing. His voice drops, and you have to lean in to hear him. Then the hum started, low frequency. You felt it in your chest before you heard it, like standing next to a large engine, but there was no engine. No machinery, just stone and darkness and this vibration coming up through the floor. The station is quiet now, the usual hum of ventilation, the distant sound of traffic from the street outside. Nothing unusual yet. The tools on our belts started vibrating, the rail ties we'd just installed, each one weighing 40 kilos. They were buzzing against the rail, metal on metal, creating this overtone that made your teeth hurt. Dimitri checks his watch. The face glows green in the platform lighting. 2 more minutes. Sergei, he was the youngest, maybe 25. He starts getting a nosebleed. Just suddenly, blood running down his face. Then I do. Then all 4 of us. We're standing there bleeding, and the hum is getting louder, and the walls are starting to. He stops, breathes. The walls of that tunnel, they're not concrete. They're stone blocks, perfectly fitted. No mortar. Each one weighs maybe 3 tons. They were moving, not falling. Breathing, expanding and contracting maybe a centimeter. I saw it. We all saw it. He turns to face you fully. In the platform light, his face shows the lines of someone who has carried something heavy for a long time. We ran, left our tools, left everything, got to the surface and the hum was gone. The nosebleed stopped. We filed a report with the station master the next morning. The silence now is complete. No trains, no passengers, no announcements, just the building settling into its nighttime state. Next morning, there were 6 new workers in the maintenance office. They'd transferred us. Different divisions, different shifts. Sergei went to the freight depot. I got moved to above-ground platform maintenance. We never worked together again, never saw each other again. The tunnel entrance was sealed with concrete within a week. And then you hear it. Low, so low it's almost below hearing. A vibration more than a sound, coming from everywhere and nowhere. The marble floor beneath your feet transmits it up through your bones. Your teeth begin to ache slightly. Your chest feels tight. Dimitri nods slowly. Every night, same time, exactly 20 minutes after the last train. I've timed it for 38 years. Never varies by more than 5 seconds. Your hands start trembling. Not from cold, the summer night is warm. From resonance, from your bones responding to a frequency they recognize at some deep level. What is it doing, you ask? Your voice sounds strange, like the air is carrying it differently than normal. Still calling, Dimitri says. His voice is steady, but his hands grip the platform railing. Whatever they built down there, it's still calling. Trying to reach the other nodes, trying to complete the network. The hum grows slightly. Your vision blurs at the edges. Not badly, just enough to notice. Cover your ears, Dimitri says. It doesn't help, but it makes you feel better. You don't cover your ears. You stand there feeling it move through you. Feeling your body respond to frequencies that shouldn't affect human tissue this way. Feeling the building around you vibrate in sympathy. After 3 minutes, it fades. The normal sounds of the city return. Your hands stop shaking. It used to be quieter, Dimitri says. When I first started timing it in 1986, you could barely feel it. Now, he trails off. Now it's strong enough that people on the street outside report feeling dizzy at night. The city says it's traffic vibration, but there's no traffic at midnight. The pattern emerges when you're standing in the station's main hall at 2 in the morning. The hum has faded, but your hands are still shaking. The architectural plans are spread across 3 tables in the cafe, Mikhail sitting guard over them. There are 17 railway stations across Central Asia, built between 1927 and 1931. all of them in former Tartarian territories, all of them with the same architectural impossibilities. You're plotting them on a map when your chest tightens. Tashkent Station. Foundation depth, 41 meters. Acoustic properties that allow normal conversation across the main hall despite it being 300 meters long. Nightly hum reported by maintenance staff since 1934. Samarkand Station foundation depth, 39 meters. Built over a natural cave system that geological surveys say shouldn't exist in that soil type. The caves are perfectly circular. Perfect. Bukhara Station. Foundation depth, 52 meters, the deepest. Also sealed with concrete in 1973, the same year as Almaty's tunnel. Seismic monitoring shows rhythmic vibrations every night at 12:07 a.m. Your hands start shaking again, but not from the hum this time. From recognition. From understanding clicking into place. They're all connected. Not by rail lines, by whatever lies beneath them. You're looking at the hand-drawn blueprints when you see it. The notations along the margins aren't just measurements, they're coordinates. Latitude and longitude to 5 decimal places. Each station is positioned at a specific point. When you plot them on a map, they form a geometric pattern, not random infrastructure placement. A network, a designed network. You pull up modern satellite imagery on your laptop. Overlay the coordinates. The 17 stations align with magnetic anomalies, places where compasses drift 2 to 5 degrees off true north, where electromagnetic readings spike at specific times, the same time the hum occurs each night. Your breath catches. You zoom in on the satellite imagery. Between each station, there are faint lines in the terrain, visible only in certain lighting conditions, only in satellite photos taken at specific times of year. The lines are perfectly straight. They connect each station to its nearest neighbors. This wasn't just about transportation. The railway stations were built on top of something, a network of something that the Soviets tried to bury by building infrastructure over it. The Tartarians built communication nodes, not for trains, for voice, for human voice, amplified and transmitted across distances that should make it impossible. You're standing in the empty station when it hits you. Your legs go weak. You sit down hard on one of the cafe chairs. An empire that could communicate instantly across thousands of kilometers. No telegraph lines to cut. No written messages to intercept. No codes to break. Just voice traveling through stone, arriving perfectly clear at the other end. What would that do to the concept of borders, of separate cities, of central control? If someone in Almaty could speak and be heard, in real time, in Samarkand, in Tashkent, in Bukhara, what kind of society would that create? Mikhail is watching you. He nods slowly. Now you see it. There's a woman in Bishkek who claims her great-grandfather was part of the original construction crew. Not the 1929 Soviet construction, the construction that happened before. Her name is Aidi Sultanbekova. She's 68, a retired linguistics professor. She lives above a bookshop 3 blocks from Bishkek railway station, which follows the same pattern as Almaty's. Foundation depth 43 meters. Nightly hum at 12:07 a.m., the same time as all the others. My great-grandfather kept journals, she says. The apartment smells like old paper and mint tea, written in old Kyrgyz, mixed with technical terms in a language I've never seen anywhere else. I've shown them to colleagues in linguistics departments across 3 countries. Nobody can identify the technical language. The journals describe work that happened between 1867 and 1873, construction of what he called the harmonic conduits. Not buildings, conduits. They brought in specialists from across the empire, acoustic engineers, yes, but also musicians, mathematicians, people who understood wave resonance and human physiology, people who could calculate how sound moves through stone, through earth, through the human body. She translates a passage, running her finger under text written in careful Cyrillic script. The depth must match the harmonic frequency of the human voice at its most truthful register. The building amplifies truth, lies create dissonance, and cannot propagate through the structure. The stone knows the difference. You're sitting in her living room surrounded by books in languages you don't recognize. Through the window, you can see Bishkek Station. Even from 3 blocks away, you can see how it dominates the skyline. Too large for its function, too precisely engineered for the era. The same architectural proportions as Almaty Station, the same golden ratio repeated in every dimension. The Soviets came and built their stations directly on top of the Tartarian structures, used them as foundations, filled in the deep chambers with concrete, rebranded everything as new construction, claimed credit for engineering that they couldn't replicate today, even with modern technology. She shows you a photograph. Black and white, faded, edges crumbling, a building mid-construction. The date written on the back, 1929, but the foundation is already there. Ancient stone blocks with Soviet concrete being poured between them. Workers standing on top of architecture that's already complete, just buried. They didn't build these stations. They buried them, filled them in, and built smaller, cruder versions on top. Made people forget what was underneath. She pulls out another journal entry. My great-grandfather wrote this in 1873, 6 months before the construction was complete. Today we tested the connection to Samarkand. Spoke at normal volume into the resonance chamber. 15 seconds later, received confirmation. They heard every word as clearly as if I stood beside them. 437 kilometers. And my voice arrived without degradation. This will change everything. The implications settle in your chest like weight. 17 nodes across Central Asia, each one designed to amplify and transmit human communication. A network that would allow someone in Almaty to speak and be heard perfectly clearly in Samarkand, in Tashkent, in Bukhara, in Bishkek. An empire built on perfect communication, on the ability to speak truth across distance and have it arrive unchanged. What they took from us, Aita says quietly, was the ability to trust our voices. They made us dependent on technology we don't control. Telegraph, telephone, internet. All of it controlled, monitored, filtered. But the old network, it couldn't be controlled. Truth traveled through it. Only truth. The stone wouldn't carry lies. Back at Almaty Station, you meet Dr. Elena Roma. She's a structural engineer brought in 3 years ago when the station showed unusual settling patterns. She's been trying to understand the foundation ever since. The ministry hasn't liked her questions. The concrete they poured in 1974. She says, spreading analysis reports across a table in the station's administrative office, it's failing. Not degrading, failing. There's a difference. The reports show stress fractures. Not from age, the concrete should last another century at minimum. The fractures are forming in geometric patterns, symmetrical, radiating out from central points, deliberate patterns. It's like the building is rejecting it, pushing it out. The fractures follow the lines of least resistance, but those lines form mathematical progressions, Fibonacci sequences. The concrete is failing along the golden ratio. She pulls up thermal imaging from last month. The deep foundation glows warmer than it should. Not hot, just 15 degrees warmer than the surrounding soil. There's no heat source, no geothermal activity in this region. The warmth is coming from the stone itself, and it's increasing. 5 years ago, the temperature differential was 8 degrees. Now it's 15. She looks tired. Shadows under her eyes suggest she hasn't been sleeping well. I've recommended they excavate and examine the deep foundation. The ministry denied the request. Twice. The official response is that the 1974 concrete seal is permanent and cannot be disturbed for safety reasons. Her voice drops. But I went down there anyway, last month. Got access to the old service tunnels through a maintenance access point that's not on current maps. took equipment that isn't registered to the university. The thermal imaging shifts. She shows you readings from inside the sealed sections. The hum isn't random, it's a frequency pattern, repeating every 24 hours, and it's getting stronger. 5 years ago, the amplitude was barely detectable above background noise. Now it's strong enough to cause physical resonance in metal objects, strong enough to affect human tissue. She shows you a graph. The frequency has been increasing steadily since 2015. Linear progression, predictable. In 3 years, at current rate of increase, it will be strong enough to cause structural damage to the concrete seal. Whatever's down there, whatever the Soviets tried to bury, it's waking up, or the concrete is failing, or both. In 3 years, maybe less, that seal is going to crack, and I don't know what happens when it does. The final person you speak with is Timur Asanov. He's 45, runs a small museum dedicated to pre-Soviet Central Asian architecture. He's obsessed with Tartarian building techniques. His museum is 3 rooms above a tea shop filled with architectural drawings he's collected from across the region. The empire's peak wasn't measured in territory, he says. You're standing in the main room, looking at drawings that cover every wall. It was measured in connection, in the ability to communicate instantly across thousands of kilometers, in the unification of voice across distance. He points to the drawings. Over 200 buildings, each one documented with acoustic anomalies. Every major building had acoustic engineering built into its foundation. Government buildings, cultural centers, market halls, private residences above a certain size. They were all part of the network. All of them could connect to the harmonic conduits. His collection includes buildings from Almaty, Tashkent, Samarkand, Bukhara, Bishkek, Dushanbe, Ashgabat, and smaller cities across Central Asia, all of them in former Tartarian territories, all of them with foundations that predate their official construction dates, all of them with the same mathematical proportions. When the empire fell, however it fell, and I have theories about that, the new powers understood what they were inheriting, a communication network that couldn't be controlled by writing, by paper, by any means they understood. A network built on truth, on the human voice in its most honest register. He shows you suppression orders from the Russian Empire, dated 1875 through 1890. Official stamps, proper signatures, fill the deep foundations. Seal the acoustic chambers, build over them. Do not document what you find. Later, Soviet orders from 1925 through 1935. Repurpose existing structures for state use. Maintain external architecture for historical value. Eliminate all deep access. Concrete seals mandatory. They knew, Timur says, his hands shaking as he handles the documents. They knew that if people realized they were living on top of a technology that allowed perfect long-distance communication, they'd start asking questions. Questions about what else was possible. What else had been deliberately forgotten? What else had been buried? He pulls out a final document. Modern, dated 3 months ago. A ministry directive to all regional stations. Monitor for unusual acoustic phenomena. Report immediately. Do not investigate independently. The railway stations were the final phase. Build something useful on top. Make people forget what's underneath. Make them grateful for trains when they used to have something that made trains obsolete. Something that made central control impossible. You're standing in Almaty station at 11:27 p.m. The last trains have departed. The building is entering its nightly transition. The lights seem dimmer than they should be. The air feels thicker. The hum will start in 20 minutes. You can see Mikhail at his usual table in the cafe, blueprints carefully stored in their leather portfolio. Dmitry on platform 4, notebook in hand, pen ready to record tonight's timing. Elena somewhere in the administrative offices, monitoring equipment that isn't officially there. They come every night, witnesses to something the building won't let them forget. The blueprints show 47 meters of architecture, that officially doesn't exist. 17 stations positioned in a geometric network that aligns with magnetic anomalies, a frequency pattern that's growing stronger each year. Concrete seals that are failing according to mathematical progressions. What they really took, the ability to speak truth across distances and have it amplified rather than diminished. The ability to communicate without intermediaries, without translation, without corruption. The ability to know instantly, across any distance, that what you're hearing is true because the stone itself filters out lies. An empire built on voice, on resonance, on the principle that human truth, when properly amplified through harmonic architecture, could travel any distance and arrive unchanged. And they buried it, filled it with concrete, built train stations on top and called it progress. Made people forget that communication could be instant, honest, and free. The questions remain. Who designed the acoustic network and what mathematics did they use that we can't replicate? Why does the hum grow stronger each year? What is it building toward? What happens when the concrete fails completely in 3 years? How many other technologies were buried the same way? What else are we standing on top of, unaware? What did the Tartarian Empire know about human voice and bone resonance that we've forgotten? If the network reactivates, who would it threaten and why? The hum begins, low, pervasive, coming up through the floor, through the soles of your feet, through your bones. The building remembers what we've forgotten. The stone holds memories we've tried to bury, and every night at 12 or 7 a.m., it calls across the distance to 17 other stations, trying to complete the network again, trying to restore what was taken. The Empire's peak wasn't in the past. It's underneath us, waiting,